Through time, humans have continued to research and develop our technology. Originally, there was no such thing as a video game. But eventually, after much playing around, the Odyssey was created. Relative to today, it is considerably low-tech, but back then it was amazing, even if it only could play one game per console. Better systems were created to play games with better graphics. CD-ROMs were installed originally as just add-ons, but then were made as the popular form of data reading and storage. As technology was researched, the systems became more advanced and we were met with 3D realistic graphics and much more storage space, along with hundreds of games to choose from. Now as for the effects of video games, what do you consider to be the positive and negative effects of video games?
Coordination, I guess, and just enjoyment from kids who want to get away from the real world or even just schoolwork or anything.
Some video games stress awkward, somebody's having a bad day, you need to take your anger out on something. It's a positive way to use video games.
It exposes kids to violence and turns them into school shooters.
Personally, I don't feel there are any negative effects to video games.
I spend a lot of time on those and maybe not connecting with people in the real world.
Video games actually have a calming effect on preteens and adolescents. I mean, when they are able to sit down and relax, and it's not going to make them go out and become homicidal killers.
The tragedy of modern gaming is that all the hype and the hysteria around quote-unquote game addiction distracts from real underlying issues that need dealing with because they're seriously affecting the lives of members of our community. Sand. Number 1. There is no epidemic of people dying from playing too many video games. In almost every case involving game-related death or violence surrounding the interruption of play, the broader mental health of the individuals involved has either been demonstrably impaired or severely called into question during proceedings. Number 2. Gaming is not addictive. Addiction refers to the fundamental altering of brain chemistry, something that games have never been shown to do. No. What gaming is compelling. Number 3. Gaming compulsion can exist and still not make games an evil thing. We should talk about game compulsion as it applies to children. Often in the news, you'll hear about how the newest generation's growing up addicted to games, how they spend 8 to 10 hours a day in front of a screen, how they're losing touch with the world at large. But this form of game compulsion doesn't exist in isolation. You can't just blame all of this on games. I mean, we hear the same complaint leveled against television all the time. The problem doesn't stem inherently from these media. It's a larger societal issue. Blaming games or TV for kids leading a life focused entirely around these forms of media is simply a way of dodging responsibility. Look, there's no other way to say it. If a kid's spending 9 hours a day in front of a screen, there's some serious bad parenting going on. What you want is for your kids to have a healthy relationship with games. Play games with them. Share that part of their lives. Even without actually playing, a parent just sitting on the couch, talking to a child, encouraging them and cheering them on while they play, can convert an alienating, isolating experience into a bonding one that the child will carry with them. And while sharing the medium with the child, a parent can also teach how to get the most out of it, how to approach it responsibly, and how to learn from it. We just have to be willing to find the time to raise our children, rather than leaving them for the machines to nurture.
as you've seen, there can be good and bad things when it comes to video games. But if used correctly, they can be a tool to advance our society and help our children immensely. But just because there are bad things about them doesn't mean they should be alienated, such as using them correctly. Play games with your children. Don't let them go off and play video games by themselves, lonely in a dark room, or just use them as a babysitter. Use them to teach your children how to be responsible, teach them how to learn from them. Everything you do with your children when it comes to video games can help them prosper and can help them not become addicted, or more correctly, compelled to play video games. The media and parent groups like to overemphasize things that are portrayed in video games. The media sees them as a rising form of media itself, so they like to fight against them and try and reduce the audience for them. As for parent groups, they overemphasize the effects of video games, such as violence or anything that isn't rated E for everyone. Finally, be a parent. Use your knowledge on video games and that provided for you to help make a good decision for your children on whether or not they should be playing those types of video games, or if it's right for them.